Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and this video is a two-handed tutorial for Voidfall. Whether you want to play solo or if you want to play multiplayer competitive or cooperative, this video is a great way to learn a little bit more and to check comprehension. So if you think Voidfall might be a game for you, you are in the right place. Let's get rolling. Alright, so welcome to Table for One. This is a two-player tutorial for Voidfall, and the moment this video releases is the time that the Kickstarter launches for the Voidfall Resurgence expansion, as well as the Voidfall The Last Novarch campaign expansion, which I wrote and worked on the design. And so I'm obviously very excited for that, and I thought it would be a good opportunity now to do a two-handed, two-player tutorial of Voidfall. I don't recommend playing two-handed, but when I look around online, I do see a lot of the same questions sort of over and over around the tutorial, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity to try and answer some of those questions. And so if you're interested in Voidfall and you think you might be backing it on this Kickstarter campaign, this is a great place to start. So whether you want to play solo or multiplayer, this is going to give you just a little bit of a feel for what the tutorial looks like. This is not a complete how to play video. I'm not going to go through all the rules, but I think this will give you a pretty good general overview. But before I begin, I want to thank all of my coffee supporters. So this Table for One always has reserved seating for our monthly contributors. And then the head of the table award goes to the top of the 90-day leaderboard. So thank you to all. If you would like to support Table for One, please head over to Coffee page. The link is in the description. That would be the best way to help. And then don't forget, I've got chapter markers. So my intent is to go through the general setup and then talk about setting up just one house mat. I've got this house mat already set up, and then I'll jump into playing the game. And I mentioned that this is not an A to Z how to play video. I'm going to just kind of fly through this, but you'll get a feel for how everything works. It is also not a strategy video. So I'm not like going to be optimizing everything. I'm going to be trying to show something a little different with each of the two houses since I'm playing two-handed here. Also, I've got a very extensive Voidfall playlist with lots of rules videos as well as unboxings. I've got a comparison on the Galactic box versus the retail box if that's something that is useful to you right now. So I should call out that playlist. And then finally, I've got some components that are not part of either of those editions, like these two trays here, most of the tokens out here on the board, also a couple of drawbags we're going to see later. That stuff all comes from Brain Bucket Games on Etsy. I am a co-owner of that store, so I won't talk about that anymore. Also, random thought, but if you're on Board Game Geek, the official Table for One micro badge is now available, so make sure you go ahead and grab one of those. Make all your friends jealous, but then they can get one too, that's fine. But now let's get into it. So let's start with the general setup. So I've already got most of the map set up here. House Cortozaar, this player here on the right is these top two sectors. So these two are for House Belitan, so we'll get to setting up those later, but everything is set up here according to the setup map. Hey, let me pause and cut in real quick here. See these two guilds in this sector here? They are definitely meant to be in the outpost sector up here. I will discover this partway through the playthrough, but I just wanted to point it out to you now so you're not confused during the setup. So sorry about that. It's a surprise to both of us, but let's get back to it. But there are a few other things to do out here. Also, this would be a good time to say, if you would like, if you already have Voidfall, or if you purchase it, make a note of this video and then come back to it once you receive it. A few people have told me that they like to set up the game and play it along with this video, just to kind of be able to pause it and like understand the mechanics and what I'm doing and why I'm doing. So if you want to follow along with your own Voidfall game, that would be fine. All right, so let's talk about the text first. This is the tech tableau, and this is always the same set of technologies for the tutorial. It is from houses Astorin, Marquelos, Cheveus, and Thegwin, and those techs are deep space missiles, sentries, autonomous drones, trade nexus, dreadnoughts, decontamination chambers, terraforming, and neural matrix. So I've got both copies of each tech here. The one on top, these are the two basic versions. Look like this on the back. Version on top has +4 influence. The version on bottom does not. And then I've got this pile here of those 8 techs. They're a little bit shuffled already. The improved version. So what you're going to do, you're going to take these, shuffle them up, and I'll give some notes here for solo play as well. We're playing a 2-player game, so they're shuffled. I'm going to flip 2 of these over. We got Decontamination Chambers and Trade Nexus. If you're playing solo, you're going to do a third as well. So we're going to take the top copy of Decontamination Chambers, and it's out of the game. And we're going to take the top copy of Trade Nexus, and that is out of the game. So those are the copies with +4 influence. So it just means that there's fewer versions available in a multiplayer game, and the copies that are available don't give you the influence, which is really victory points in this game. Now, if you were playing solo, again, there would be a third one you would get rid of, and in a solo game only, you would then remove the non+4 version of each one, just because you can't have 2 copies of the same tech, so it's just not needed, so you could put it away now. Now that we've done that, I'm going to take these 8 improved tech, shuffle them up again, and I'm going to place them on the galactic board here. We need 4 of them. So we've got autonomous drones, decontamination chambers, trade nexus, and terraforming. The other 4 will be available later. I'm just going to set them here. We're going to put this tech blocker tile. So these improved techs are not available in cycle 1. They'll become available in cycle 2, which is really, a cycle is a round. This is a 3-round game. There's always 3 cycles in Voidfall. And then at the end of cycle 2, whatever's left here is going to be wiped, and we'll get the other 4 for the 3rd cycle of the game. Now, we also need to finish setting up our agenda offer here. So I've already set up support, might, and wealth agendas. This is the dominance agenda stack. So in the base game, there are 8 of these dominance agenda cards, 8 of each of the agenda types. In the expansion, there will be some extras, as well as a 5th agenda type, but I don't think that's necessary for the tutorial. So you just shuffle these up, and then place 1 here face up, and the rest of the stack here on the left. So this is always going to be randomized. If you want to follow along from top to bottom with, again, support, might, wealth, and dominance, I have the Wellspring Initiative, Safeguard Policy, Augmented Armada, and Interplanetary Colonization. But again, if you just want to leave yours shuffled, you can still follow along. It's not a big deal. And I'll also point out here, there's these 6 trade tokens. That's what we're going to do in a 2-player game. If this was a solo game, we would remove this bottom one. There would only be 5. And if you're playing with 3 or 4 players, there's directions in the compendium for how to set that up. And then, of course, I've got the Galactic event here for the tutorial for Cycle 1. This is from the Ashes. So I think that does it for the general setup. So let me show you now how we set up each individual house. So I'm just going to set up House Belitan. Again, Cortozaar is already set up. So if you're playing the tutorial, there are 4 houses available for you to choose from. Those are Belitan, Cortozaar, Dunlork, and Valnus. Those are the 4 quote-unquote basic houses. They have a lot of symmetry between them, much more so than the other houses in the game. And the houses are just the factions that you can play as. So I've previously done solo tutorials for Voidfall on this channel, and I used Dunlork and Valnus for those. So I figure I'll come back now and use Belitan and Cortozaar. Now, one thing to note is there are 9 standard focus cards in the game. So I've got here Innovation, Conquest, Politics, Progress, Prosperity, Temptation, Development, Production, and Reinforcement. Most of the other houses, you're going to have 1 or more of these that you're going to remove and replace with a special one for your house. The 4 basic houses in the base game do not have that asymmetry. But in the new Resurgence expansion, the 4 basic houses do get some special focus cards. So if you're playing this with Resurgence, I would just note that you should not use those special focus cards for the tutorial. For the tutorial, stick with the 9 basic ones. That is what you want to do when you learn to play. So just a note on the neat addition in the expansion, and just a note for the tutorial as well. So we don't have any special focus cards that we need to worry about here. Now, the one on top here, Innovation, it has this cycle 1 symbol with a line through it. You never have, by default, Innovation available in the first cycle. So you can just take this and set it to the side, and I'll do the same thing for Cortozaar here. And if it wasn't clear, Belitan here on the left is blue, Cortozaar here on the right is pink. You can obviously pick whatever player colors you want. Also, fun side note, if you're a Mind Clash Games fan, if you have Anachrony and you have the metal resource tokens, they're the same size as the Fleet Power cubes here in Voidfall, and they're interchangeable. You can use them. So I do that in a lot of my playthroughs. I don't, as far as I know, there are no metal cubes for the Resurgence expansion. That would be awesome, though. If those ever got released, I would buy them. But you need like 100 of these orange ones, so it'd probably be super expensive. But anyway, that's just a fun thing to do. If you have the metal Anachrony cubes, like the purple Neutronium for the pink player is really cool. I recommend that. Anyway, let's set up House Belitan here. So I've got all the supplies here. This triple dial here is your influence, and this always starts at 10 for all players. So go ahead and set that to 10. You are going to let's see here. You're going to have your origin card. Find that. Looks like this. You always use origin A. Every house has two origins, an A and a B. In the tutorial, you always use origin A. So this tells you your tech. We've got targeting. So I've got these cards set here, and it also tells us how to set up a bunch of stuff. So let's just go left or right. So all the way to the left, this is our production and resources. So these numbers on the left correspond to these dials on the left, and that is your resource level. So the leftmost number. So the top one is green, it's set to 2, so I'm going to set this to 2. So that means our food production level is 2. The number on the inside is a 1, so that means our production yield is a 1. So throughout the game, this level is going to go up, and it's a non-linear scale for as it goes up, how much food will we produce. And then the number on the right here, it says 4 food, so that's the dial on the right, and that means we have 4 food in our stockpile. That's what we can actually spend. So now we'll just do the same for the other resources. We're going to start at level 3 energy, level 2 materials, 0 for credits and science. And then on the right, we had 4 food. We're going to have 4 energy, 2 materials, 3 credits, and 2 science. So I'm going to take these dials and set them off to the side, but just know that that's how that works. Just clearing up some table space here, but I'll show you the dials as you need to see them. The next thing here is the 2 fleet power. So we've got these 2 areas on our mat here. This is inactive fleet power and then active fleet power. And you can see this is kind of like a flat box and then a being assembled box. And then you'll see this icon here. You'll see it throughout the game. It's like fleet power that are fully on the map. So they're kind of like getting assembled. So it says 2 active fleet power. So we're going to start with 2 active fleet power. There's going to be some that goes in our sectors, and the rest starts inactive. So there's going to be 8 left over. You got 14 fleet power in total. So we're starting with 2 active. And then we've got our 2 sectors here. The first has a little house. That's your home sector. And so that says start with 2 Corvette fleet power on it. So there's my Corvette with 2 fleet power and also a Farmer's Guild. So we place that Farmer's Guild here. And these are generally double-sided, different things on the back. And then the second sector is your outpost sector. That's going to have 2 guilds here, and Engineers Guild and a Miners Guild, and also 2 fleet power. All right, so as a Corvette. So once you've got these on the map and you know how many active you have, all the rest are inactive. That's how I got to 8. In addition, you've got these 2 dice. These are your population dice. There is no dice rolling in Voidfall, but these track your population in each sector. So the die that matches your player color, this says it should be set to 2, is in your home sector. So that allows you, it's in your player color. You can hold that sector even if you don't have anything else in that sector. Nobody can ever take it from you. Your outpost sector, in this case, is also set to 2. And all these purple die out here are standard die. These are variable die. So that means the population can go up and down throughout the game. There are black dice that come with this game as well, not used as often, but the black die are fixed population. So you're not allowed to change the value of the population of that sector throughout the game. So now we've set up everything here on our origin card, and you're going to flip it over. And now this is your starting agenda. So it's got the agenda icon. It's all white. You take that and you tuck that under the agenda slot all the way to the left, which is, again, the white one. Looks different than the other ones. And so this is your scoring criteria. So these are going to be the same for all the starting houses on Origin A. So for both of these houses here, the first scoring criteria at the end of each cycle, for each peer sector you have, you get 3 influence. For each peer sector with a sector defense, you get 1 influence. And for each peer sector with a shipyard, you get 2 influence. So it's kind of encouraging you to have a lot of peer sectors and ideally put shipyards in them and then sector defenses. All right, other stuff to set up. Let's set our tech aside for a second. You always start with a glory token of value 2, so we'll put that here. You start with a corruption, just put that on your rightmost agenda space. And we've got these 3 civilization track markers. They just start all the way to the left unless the origin card says something different, which for the base houses it will not. You've also got a turn order marker for each player. So we're just going to have Belitan go first and Cortozaar go second. And then, as I said, we've got our technologies. You've got your starting technology. We start with targeting, and then we have the only copy of improved targeting. So we're just going to set that beside our player mat, and we're going to tuck in our starting tech right there. So let's go over these starting texts real quick. So Belitan has targeting. It says during combat, if you have one or more Corvette present, gain 5 initiative. And Cortozaar has torpedoes. That says in combat, if you have one or more Corvette present, deal 1 damage in the first salvo step. So that's 1 extra damage, so that's nice. And now we're all set up. So you'll notice that Belitan's home and outpost looks the same as Cortozaar's home and outpost there, which I had set up previously. So before we get into the game itself, let's talk real quickly about competitive versus co-op. Voidfall can be played competitively from 2 to 4 players, or it can be played cooperatively from 1 to 4 players. The solo mode is just co-op mode by yourself. And it's definitely my preferred way to play, but it has a lot more going on. So you've got to learn competitive mode first, and then you add other stuff on top of it to play cooperatively. So that's going to be the crisis board with alert cards and crisis cards. You're going to choose a difficulty setting. You're going to be dealing with harbingers and catastrophes. You're going to have safe haven tiles. You're either solo or multiplayer co-op. You're going to have heroic focus cards or joint focus cards. There's all sorts of other stuff going on. There is no quote unquote co-op tutorial. You always play the tutorial in competitive mode because that's like the easiest rule set. So you learn that, and then when you want to play with all the other co-op stuff, just play the first map in the compendium at your player count with the co-op stuff. And so I intend to make another video where I play that first map, first stand. I'll probably play it single-handed solo. I've played it a couple times on the channel already, but I'll play it again sometime soon where I kind of really bring it down and describe it as if you're playing with the co-op stuff for kind of the first time. But if you're getting ready to play the tutorial and you plan to be playing Voidfall co-op, just agree with the other people at the table. You're just going to follow all the rules of the game, but not attack each other. That's how you play a co-op tutorial in Voidfall. Because in competitive, you can take each other's sectors, you can attack each other, and if you just agree to not do that and just have your shared borders, then that's co-op, and that's totally fine. And a lot of people seem to get tripped up by that. But there you go. That's how you play the co-op tutorial. So that's what I'll be doing today. So once they have shared borders, which I'm sure they will, I'm just not going to allow them to attack each other. So with that all out of the way, let's get started with cycle 1. So it starts with the preparation phase. In cycle 1, you skip step 1, which is remove a trade token. We don't need to do anything in step 2 here, except put these techs out on the board, which we already did, and put the tech blocker on top of it. The third step is figure out your turn order. So we're just going left to right here, Belitan and then Cortozaar. And then we resolve the galactic event. That's really the first thing that we need to do. So this is from the ashes. In the top right corner, it has 3x. That means each player will get 3 turns in this cycle. And then we resolve these boxes. So the first box says, reminder, read the tutorial for cycle 1 in the compendium. I'm going to assume you've done that or that you're not interested in doing that right now, and that's fine. The next thing we do, each player must discard the following focus cards. So it says Conquest, Politics, Progress, Prosperity, and Temptation. See how I had them in order? So that's only going to leave you 3 focus cards left. Development, Production, and Reinforcement. Because again, remember, we got rid of Innovation during setup because we don't have that during cycle 1 anyway. So you'll notice we have 3 cards, and we have 3 turns this cycle. When you play a card, it's you don't get it back in your hand, so it's played, and you don't get it back till the end of the cycle, like in the preparation phase of the next one. So that means we're going to play all 3 of the cards we have. We just need to determine the order. So let's do the same thing now for Cortozaar, and these are in the same order. So they're going to get rid of all these other cards. There we go. And you know what? Let's see if I can make room for these dials just a little bit. So we'll put them way off to the side, but just so I don't mix them up. And then these are the focus cards that each player has in their hand. We'll just kind of put them to the side of their playing area. Okay, now the last thing that we need to do here before we start is move the corruption from your house mat onto your outpost sector. So your outpost is your non-home sector. So we're going to take this house mat corruption for Belitan and put it on their outpost, and we will now do the same for Cortozaar, which is really far away from where I'm sitting. All right, but we got through it. Okay, so the other thing we want to look at before we get going is these 2 boxes here on the right. So these are the objectives for this galactic event. You will evaluate these at the end of the cycle, and you can resolve one of them if you've achieved it. It does have this big red line with a slash. That's or separating those 2 objectives. That means even if you achieve both, you can only resolve one or the other, and you would just get to pick in that case. But the things we're trying to do are have 5 or more fleet power on the map, or have 5 or more pure guilds. So just to show you a little bit of variety, I will have Belitan try and do the top one, and I will have Cortozaar try and do the bottom one. And that is it for the preparation phase. So now we go to the focus phase, phase B. So players are just going to go back and forth in turn order, playing their cards and taking their actions. So we will have House Belitan start by playing development, and they're going to take any 2 of these 3 actions in any order they want. Let's start with the top action, which is grow. So we need to spend 1 material. That's the cost. We spend 1 material, and now we can build either a guild or an installation. And we're going to have Belitan build an installation. And they're going to build a shipyard here in their outpost sector. They don't have any installation slots in their home sectors. That's really the only place they can do it. They're going to build a shipyard because, again, they're going for this top objective to have 5 or more fleet power, and shipyards help you get fleet power on the map. So that's what they're thinking. And then we're going to have them not do the middle objective or the middle action, because the cost of that is to take a fleet power off the map. And so that's something they're trying to avoid. So let's take the bottom action. They're going to spend 1 science. So we go from 2 to 1. And now they can either increase a pure population or remove a corruption. And we know Cortozaar is going for this bottom objective where they're going to want to have 5 or more pure guilds, but this top objective doesn't say anything about your fleet power being pure, so maybe that's not as important to Belitan. I'm not saying this is a good move, I'm just trying to show different things. So they're going to go ahead and raise a pure population here in their home sector. They're going to go from 2 to 3. Now they have a guild in that sector. It's a farmer's guild, and so the population just went up, so every guild in that sector goes 1 level up. And so this allows you to always calculate what your guild should be if you're ever unsure during the game. So their level here is 3. They've got 3 population with that guild, so you can kind of go across the map and count them all up, and your level should match. Do note, though, that in the bottom left corner of the starting agenda, and you can see it on the origin side as well, you get, with this particular setup, 1 bump on your energy production, your engineers guild. So you've got 1 extra there. There's a little reminder for that. So if you were to look, just as an example here, we've got our miners guild in a 2-pop system, and we've got level 2 production. Our engineers guild here is in a 2 population system, and it's got level 3 production because we get 1 bonus from the starting card there. So, okay, now we've taken 2 actions with Belitan off development. We took the top action and the bottom action. That's the end of the turn. So now we pass it over to the next player. And again, they get to pick any one of these focus cards and take 2 actions. And they do have to be different actions. And silly me, I never finished setting up Cortozaar's outpost sector there. They're missing a couple guilds. Let me pop those on there real fast. That's pretty funny. So, okay, now they're set up according to their origin card correctly. So now they can take their turn. They've decided to play development as well. They don't have to. You don't have to play these in any particular order. You don't have to follow the person before you, but they're deciding to play the same card in this case. But they're going to play it a little differently. They're going to start with the middle action. So the cost is you have to recall a fleet power from the map, and then you can build a guild and an installation in that sector where you recalled the fleet power from. So they're going to take that fleet power from their outpost. So I'm going to have to reach again. All right, and that just comes, see this little slot here, it comes right back to their active area. So active fleet power can be deployed to the map, and then fleet power from the map can be brought back to active, and then they go back and forth between inactive and active here. And so they can build a guild and an installation, and they're going to build a farmer's guild and a sector defense. Again, I'm not saying this is optimal, but I just want to show some stuff. So let me go put those on the same sector where I took that fleet power from, because that is the requirement. That's what we paid for. All right, so now I've added a farmer's guild to a sector with 2 populations. So my food production level goes up 2 times. So it's now at level 4 with a yield of 3. All right, so that's the first action we took. And now we'll take the second action, and we're going to take the top one. We're going to spend 1 material. But unlike Belitan, who took that action to build a shipyard, we're going to use it to build another guild. And this time we're going to build a banker's guild, and we only have 1 place to put it. We've got 1 slot in our home sector, so I'll put a banker's guild in the home sector. And that's a 2 population system, so our level goes from 0 to 2, meaning our credit yield is 1. You will notice that I said it's a non-linear scaling from the level to the yield. That being said, food, energy, materials, and science are all the same curve. Credits are different. A different yield curve, and it is lower. It's harder to get credits, but they can be used for everything. So, all right, that was 2 actions from Cortozaar. So we played development, but we played the middle action and then the top action. So now it goes to the next player. It's back to Belitan. We've got 2 cards left. We have production and reinforcement, and let's just have Belitan play production, because they're thinking they want some resources. So they're going to take the middle action first, supply. That is a free action. There is no cost, and we're going to be able to produce food, energy, and materials. So when you produce something, you just look at your yield and then gain that many in your stockpile. So we have 4 food. Our yield is 2. So we go up to 6. We have 4 energy. Our yield is 2. We go up to 6. We have 1 material. Our yield is 1. We go up to 2. The second part, because that is an and or, that green line with dividing with a plus and a slash, is we gain 1 influence for each pure farmers, engineers, or miners guild that we have. So the basic guild types. So these 2 guilds are in a corrupted sector. So these are not pure, they're corrupted. We have 1 pure guild here. So we gain 1 influence going from 10, where we started, to 11. So that was the first action on this card, or rather it's the second action on the card, but the first action that Belitan has taken. And the second thing we're going to do is this top action, Thrive, which again is free, and it's advance on the society track. So these are your 3 civilization tracks: society, statecraft, and economy. So we're going to advance on this track, and we gain the reward that's in that spot, which is gain to our stockpile 1 credit. So we're up to 4 now, and 1 science. So we're up to 2. And that was 2 actions. So they were both free. We got a bunch of resources. That feels pretty good. Now it's Cortozaar's turn. And just to spice things up, let's have them play the other card. Let's have them play reinforcement. And so we're going to start with the top action on this. And the cost is to deactivate a fleet power. So we take 1 from our active area. We slide it left here to the inactive area. So we've deactivated a fleet power. And now we can build a sector defense, and we can advance on any of these tracks of our choice. So let's do the sector defense first. We're going to go ahead and put that in our outpost sector, because that's the only place where we have an installation slot that's available. And second, we can advance on any track. Let's do the bottom track. Let's do the economic track. So we advance here, and this bonus means advance again. And now gain this bonus, which is gain a trade token. So we take the bottommost trade token from this track, set it there for now, and then we gain the reward. So let's say that we had taken the second one. You can gain the reward next to it or any of the rewards below it. But because we took from the bottommost space, we only have 1 option, gain 1 science. We're happy to get the science. We go from 2 to 3. That's fine. I'll talk about the trade token in a little bit. We'll set it there for now. So we've taken our 2 actions here. We deactivated our fleet power for the cost. We built the sector defense, and then we advanced our economic track, which went up twice and got us a trade token, which got us a science. Cool. Now let's take the bottom action, I think. We're going to spend 1 energy. We go from 2 to 1. And we can regroup our fleet power and build a sector defense. So I don't really need to do this. It's not like a great move, but I'm just kind of trying to show you some things. So again, let's start with the sector defense. That'll go in our outpost as well. That's going to fill our last available installation slot. And then we can regroup our fleet power. That means, so there's number 5 there. That's like the standard regroup amount. That's the only amount you'll see in the base game. And Resurgence, you'll see different amounts. And the last Nova Arc as well. But that 5 means you can like move 5 cube sectors around. So like moving, this is Belitan, of course, but moving 1 cube from here to here, that would be 1 move. If I had more sectors and I moved it again, that would be 2 moves. So each cube moving to another sector is 1 move. You've got 5 of them. So I'm going to take Cortozaar's 2 corvettes there in the home sector and move them back to the outpost. And you can just mix and match between fleet tokens as long as it's the same fleet type. And we still have control of our home sector because we have our player colored die still sitting there, and the home sector can't be invaded. So I'm not at any risk of losing it. The outpost is way over defended right now, but that's okay. So we've got 3 corvettes in it as well as 3 sector defense. And don't forget we have torpedoes in combat too. So ain't nothing taking our outpost sector. But now we've taken 2 actions. So now we kind of do the cleanup step of each of our turns. We haven't had to go over this yet, but there are 3 things to note here. At the end of your turn, or I guess 4 things to note here. At the end of your turn, check each of your sectors, and each one may not have more than 2 fleet tokens on it. So that's why I mentioned that it's okay to combine or split fleet power that are the same fleet type. So I took 2 Corvettes, I put them on the same token as the other 1 Corvette. There's 3 Corvette fleet power on that 1 token. You can only have 2 tokens per sector at the end of your turn. Within a single turn or outside of your turns, it's fine. But at the end of each of your turns, you need to check and reduce down. And if you've got too much anywhere, you've got to recall it from the map back to your active area. Next, if you have more than 4 glory tokens, you need to discard until you're down to 4. You choose which ones that you want to keep. If you have earned or if you have played any agenda cards that turn, this is where you would slot them. We'll talk more about that later. And then finally, if you gained any trade tokens this turn, you need to slot them on one of your agendas. So that's what that little space is there on the bottom of that agenda. There's a little spot for it. That's where the trade token goes. If you don't have a spot for it, then you've got to return it to the galactic board. You can't keep it. So, okay, that was the end of Cortozaar's second turn. We go back to Belitan. They've got 1 turn left. There's 3 turns in the cycle. They've only got 1 card left. It is Reinforcement, so they play it. And so they will start with this top action as well, Accelerate. They're going to deactivate a fleet power to then advance any 1 track. They're going to advance the Statecraft track. And look at that. The bonus is now activate a fleet power. So they get that fleet power back. So it's as if they paid no cost, but now their track is 1 space further, which that can help you with some scoring and other things later. The other thing they can do is build a sector defense, so they might as well do it. And they'll put that right here in their outpost sector. So they've got a sector defense now. That was 1 action. The second action is going to be muster, that middle action. So they're going to spend 2 materials. They have 2, so they go down to 0. And now they can deploy an active fleet power everywhere they have a shipyard. So they can put 1 here because there's a pre-printed shipyard and 1 here. So now they've got 6 fleet power on the map. Good for them. And that was 2 actions from Belitan. They don't need to do any of this cleanup stuff. It doesn't apply. So now we go back to Cortozaar, who also has 1 card left. It is production. And they're going to go ahead and use this trade token. So you can take a trade token and flip it over at the beginning of your turn. As you can see here, you select your focus card. You can play a trade token and you may play an agenda, which we don't have any of those right now. But when you flip a trade token, that allows you to take all 3 actions from the card you played. So we'll do that. And I don't really see any reason. Well, yeah, we will do these a little out of order. We'll start at the top. So the free action, we've seen this one, advance on the society track, gain a credit and a science. I went down, go up to 4 credits and 4 science. And we'll take the bottom action next, and I'll show you why in a second, but that's going to cost 1 food. We go from 4 to 3, and 1 energy. We go from 1 to 0. And now we can remove a corruption, and we can regroup. We're not going to regroup, that's fine, but we are going to remove the corruption from our outpost sector. When you have that remove corruption symbol like that and it doesn't specify anything, you can remove one from any of your places. So those can be your civilization tracks or your agenda slots or your sectors or other places that are yours. So if you have a tech like decontamination chambers, but you cannot remove corruption from other people's places or from shared places like the agenda offers or from like voidborn sectors. It's got to be your stuff. So anyway, we're going to remove the corruption from our outpost sector. And that just goes away. We set it aside back in the supply and we can now regroup. We're not going to regroup. We just spent the last turn regrouping them into the outpost. So I guess I'm going to leave them there. And now because of our trade token, we'll take this third action. So we're taking the middle action last. So we produce food, energy, and materials. So we have 3 food. We produce 3. So we're at 6. We have 0 energy, produce 2. That brings us to 2. We have 3 materials, produce 1. That brings us to 4. And then we gain 1 influence for each of the 3 basic guild types that is pure that we have. So that is why I took this action before this one. I wanted to purify that outpost because now I'll get 3 points for that outpost. So we go from 10 to 13. Plus we have 1 Farmers Guild there at home. In our home sectors, so that brings us to 14. The Bankers Guild is not one of these 3 basic types, so that doesn't earn us anything, even though it is a pure guild. So now it's the end of our turn, and we do all this cleanup stuff, and we need to take the spent trade token, return it to the galactic board. We don't get anything for doing that normally. So that is it for the focus phase because all players have taken their 3 turns. So now we go to cycle 1's evaluation phase. The first thing you do is skirmish. So to skirmish, you add up all of the corruption on your house mat. So these 3 civilization tracks and these 3 agenda slots, and whatever number that is, that's how many Voidborn will attack you in one of your sectors. Now, they're not moving around on the map. There's a mode that does that in Resurgence, and it's super cool. But in the just standard base game of Voidfall, they're not moving around the map. Whatever Voidborn forces are attacking you are kind of coming from the Z-axis. They're coming down on your sector from somewhere outside the map. So if we add up all the corruption here on the house mat for Belitan, they have 0. So they're getting attacked by 0 Voidborn. In the cases that it does matter, you won't see this in the tutorial, but in the cases where that matters, that's still considered a successful defense. So now they've defended their skirmish. Now we go to the next player. You do resolve this in turn order. And we also have 0 corruption, so we're going to skirmish at 0. Now you'll see here when we get to cycles 2 and 3 for this step only, when you skirmish, you will add +1 to whatever your starting value is. So even if we had 0, the Voidborn would still skirmish at 1. So that's good to know. And let's go to step 2 here. So this is where we pay for upkeep. So this is the upkeep symbol. First, you have to go find all your upkeep symbols and add them up. So we've got 2 here on this agenda. Every agenda has 2 by default. Now, if we had kept the trade token for Cortozaar, that would be covered up, and we wouldn't have to pay that upkeep. So that's a reason you might want to hold on to your trade tokens rather than spend them on actions. So there's a little bit of a fun decision space there. But anyway, Belitan's got 2 upkeep here. And there's an upkeep on each of these slots, this guild slot and this installation slot and this guild slot, but they are all empty, so we don't have to pay any of those. So we've only got 2 upkeep we need to pay. And so each food counts as 1 upkeep, or 2 energy or 2 materials in any combination equal 1 upkeep. So food is more efficient. We've got 6 food. So we'll just spend 2 food. We go down to 4. If there are any upkeep you can't satisfy, for each one you lose 3 influence. So now let's go over to Cortozaar, see what that picture looks like. They've got 2 upkeep here from the card, plus 1 from that guild slot, 1 from that guild slot, and 1 from that installation slot. So they owe 5 upkeep. And they've got 6 food as well, so they'll spend food. That's sufficient. They go down to 1 food. Okay, so you can see things turned out a little bit differently for these 2 houses, even though they had the same options at the start. Now that we've paid upkeep, we go to step 3, resolve the galactic event objectives, again in turn order. So we start with Belitan, we check the 2 objectives. Do they have 5 fleet power on the map? Yes. Do they have 5 or more pure guilds? No. So their only option is to resolve this top one. So the bonuses there are you can raise 1 pure population. We only have 1 pure population. This one's corrupted. So they're going to raise the population in their home sector from 3 to 4. That does change the production level of that guild. That goes from 3 to 4. And they also gain 1 credit. So we go from 4 to 5, and 1 science. So we go from 2 to 3. So that is their reward for achieving that objective. Now we go to the next player. Let's go to Cortozaar, and we check, do they have 5 fleet power on the map? No, they've got 3. Do they have 5 or more pure guilds? Yes, they've got 5 pure guilds, because they have 5 guilds in total, and they're in pure sectors, and this is the any guild symbol, not like the basic guild symbol. So we've achieved that, so what do we get to do? We get to deploy 1 fleet power, and we can do that anywhere we want. Let's deploy 1 fleet power to our home sector. And why am I going to the home sector? I am doing that because it is adjacent to more Voidborn sectors, so it gives me more options to invade later. I don't really want all that fleet power back there, but I'm just trying to kind of show you how everything works. So home sector seems like a pretty good place to do it. We don't need it back there. And then we also gain 2 food, which is nice, because having all those guilds cost us some food in upkeep. So now we go from 1 to 3, so that'll help pay for upkeep again in a future cycle. And the last step now is to evaluate all of our pure agendas. So your starting agenda is always pure. You'll get the ability to slot other agendas. Again, those are here. Here's the agenda offer. We'll get the ability to slot some of those later in the game. And if there's no corruption there, we can score them. If they're corrupted, we don't get any points. So let's start with Belitan. The first scoring criteria is 3 influence for each pure sector. They've got 1 pure sector, 1 corrupted. So that's only going to be influence for the 1 pure sector. They go from 11 to 14. Then 1 influence for each pure sector with a sector defense. Well, their peer home sector has no sector defense. They've got a sector defense here, but it's a corrupted sector, so no points. And lastly, 2 influence for each peer sector with 1 or more shipyards. Again, they've got 2 shipyards. The sector's corrupted, so it doesn't score anything. So this peer sector with a shipyard gets 2 influence. That brings them up to 16. Let's go through the same exercise with Cortozaar now, who just so happens, because this is the base houses and it's a tutorial, they just so happen to have the same starting agendas. Now, normally when you start picking all the other houses that are in the game, the base game comes with 14, including the 4 base ones. So there's 10 other non-base houses. And then the Resurgence expansion has another 6 houses. And then there's sort of another house in the last Novark, which we're not going to get into now. But they generally have different starting agendas. So you're kind of going for different things from the start. They're not typically the same like this. This is a little bit unique for the tutorial. Anyway, let's evaluate for Cortozaar. So 3 influence for each peer sector. We've got 2 peer sectors. So that's going to be 6 influence. We go from 14 to 20. Next, 1 influence for each peer sector with a sector defense. Our outpost is peer and has 1 or more sector defenses, so that's 1 influence. Doesn't matter that we've got 3, it's just 1 or more is worth 1 influence. So there you go. And then 2 influence for each peer sector with 1 or more shipyards. That's only going to be our home sector. So 2 influence there, so we're at 23. So it's 23 for Cortozaar and 16 for Belitan now. And that is the end of cycle 1. So let me tell you the goal of the tutorial now. The goal of the tutorial is you're trying to get to 120 influence by the end of the game. And the game is 3 cycles, as I said. So don't despair at these low numbers. The game is very much non-linear. It really ramps up as it goes. So expect to score a lot more in cycle 2 and then in cycle 3, especially as you get more things that will score, more agendas slotted. So that's something we want to do. So 16 and 23 at the end of cycle 1. So now we're going to go to cycle 2. We start with the preparation phase. I'm going to walk through all these steps. And really, the first thing you do is you gain all of your focus cards back, the ones that you spent, as well as we're going to gain all the other ones back and throw innovation in the mix because we're not in cycle 1 anymore. So let's just put those here. Same thing for Cortozaar. We'll set their cards here for just a moment. And now step 1 is remove the bottommost trade token from the game. So that's just gone. So as the game goes on, there are fewer and fewer trade tokens, but that means the rewards that you get each time are increasingly better. Then we go to step 2. We are in cycle 2, so we remove this improved tech blocker. So these 4 improved techs are now available to gain during cycle 2. If nobody gains them, then they're going to get wiped and replaced in cycle 3. Step 3 is you can now choose your turn order. So in a co-op game, which is what we said we're playing, players just decide collectively. In a competitive game, you go from lowest influence to highest influence, and you get to choose your spot from the available spots. In a 2-player game, you can only choose spots 1 and 2. 3-player game, only up to 3. You can't choose the last spot if there's not that many players. Anyway, makes sense. And if 2 players happen to be tied, whoever was last in turn order the previous cycle gets their choice first. So in this case, Belitan has 16 influence and Cortozaar has 23. So if this was a competitive game, Belitan would get the choice first. Do you want to go first or second? And until you get really comfortable with the game, assume it's always better to go first. So we'll just leave the turn order how it is. And then the last thing we're going to do is replace the cycle 1 galactic event with the cycle 2 galactic event. Now, in a normal game of Voidfall, it's possible that you have some foreknowledge of what this is going to be. Otherwise, it'll be a surprise at this point. You won't know what it is. But this is the tutorial, so we're using through Enlightenment, which is the cycle 2 tutorial card. We're going to have 4 turns this cycle now. This is where it'd read the cycle 2 part of the compendium. Then it says each player, this is not typical, by the way, this discarding cards thing. This is just for the tutorial to kind of really guide you through the decision space in a useful way. So it says discard the following: production, which was one that we had last time, and what else did I say? Progress and reinforcement. That's another one we had in cycle 1, and temptation. And that's it. So we have 5 cards now: innovation, conquest, politics, prosperity, and development. Only development we've seen in cycle 1. And of these 5 cards, we now get to play 4 of them. So the decision space is a little different. We're going to have to choose one of these that we can't do at all. So we'll put those cards here for Belitan, and now we'll do the same thing for Cortozaar. So I'll pick these up again. Reinforcement and production are gone, as well as temptation and progress. And I should have 5 left. There we go. I did that right. Cool. And now each player may activate a fleet power. So we'll both do that. And each player may gain a basic technology. So we resolve this in turn order. So Belitan gets to gain a basic technology, and then Cortozaar does. And I will try and have them gain different technologies from each other this game. And so Belitan kind of looks around and says, you know what, I didn't get rid of that corruption in the first cycle. And that really cost me some points. I don't think that was very good. So I'm going to take decontamination chambers, even though it's one of the 2 that won't get me any influence. So they take decontamination chambers. The bottom part of the tech is your immediate bonus, and this says you can move a corruption. Anything in the top part is immediately active, by the way. So we're going to move a corruption. So we're going to take it from this sector. Again, all rewards are optional, but we're going to move it. And where are we going to move it to? Well, we've got these other spots. We've got these spots. Your home sector cannot be corrupted for most houses. Let's slot this, though, and see what this tech does before we decide where to put this. Decontamination Chamber says you may store up to 2 corruption on this card. And then during the evaluation phase, so at the end of the cycle, you may remove 1 corruption from this card. So we're going to go ahead and put that there. One thing to note about decontamination chambers is it is not considered a part of your house mat, because it is not this. This is your house mat. It just slots into it. This is a tech. So when we're counting at the end of the cycle how much corruption is on our house mat to figure out our skirmish strength, any corruption here on decontamination chambers does not count. So that's pretty cool. And there was only 1 copy of that one, so Cortozaar cannot choose that. So they've already they've activated their fleet power. Let's have them choose a basic technology as well. And Cortozaar is thinking something a little different. They're saying, look, I've only got 4 fleet power and I've got it all in that corner. Look how much Belitan has built up their fleets. Maybe I need to do something fleet-wise. So they're going to take this top copy of Dreadnoughts. So this immediately gets them 4 influence. They go from 23 to 27. And then they can deploy a Dreadnought in their home sector. So let's see what that means. Let's see what this tech does. It says, first, you may deploy into Dreadnought fleets for a cost of 1 material per fleet power. And then your Dreadnought fleets are limited to a maximum power of 1. So I've got a Dreadnought fleet power token here. The ones I happen to be using have 1 slot on this side and then 3 on the back, because if you gain the improved version later, you can gain, instead of just 1 per token, you can have up to 3. So right now we've got the basic version. We're limited to 1. We can deploy 1 to our home sector. So we're going to do that. But again, you can deploy Dreadnought fleets for a cost of 1 material each. So we've got to pay 1 material, go from 4 to 3 to put this on the map. But we're going to put that in our home sector. And now we slot that tech. And then Dreadnoughts, you know, here's the combat tiles up here. You can see Dreadnoughts are going to follow this piece here. So they're going to be stronger than Corvettes. They've got 1 extra initiative in total for all your Dreadnoughts. They've got some absorption on approach, and they're good defenders too. They've got some salvo absorb on defense. So we'll see some of that in action later. So let's take a look now at the objective so we know what we're trying to do. If you end this cycle with 9 or more pure population, you can activate a fleet power and gain a basic tech. Or if you end this cycle with 3 or more technologies, you can activate a fleet power and increase a pure population. So you can kind of see a symmetry there. If we look at techs, they both have 2 techs right now. So they're both equally close to getting a third. If we look at population, Belitan's got 6. Pure population, whereas Cortozaar has 4. So getting to 9 is a little bit further off for Cortozaar, but certainly doable for each of them. So if I'm going to do anything, I'll have Belitan aim for the top and Cortozaar aim for the bottom. But also, gaining technologies is super strong. So ideally, they would both get be able to evaluate both of these, accomplish both, to have 3 techs, and then have the option to gain a 4th tech. That's really the best, just because technologies are so great in this game. But we'll see what happens. And now we're ready for the focus phase. So again, we've got 4 rounds this cycle, and Belitan starts, and we've got 5 cards in hand. So we've got innovation, conquest, politics, prosperity, and development. Let's start with no particular reason with prosperity. That's what we're going to do. So Belitan has not gone super strong on guilds, so I think they're going to start with this middle action, store. So they're going to produce any one resource of any one type, produce one resource, and then also gain any 2 resources of any type, and you can mix and match on those too. And you can do those things in either order. So maybe we'll start with the 2 resources. We will gain 1 credit, because that's pretty universal, so we're up to 6. And they might want a science, actually, so we're going to go from 3 to 4. And then we can produce 1 thing. So we can produce 3 food, or 2 energy, or 1 material. We don't have any credit or science production. So we've got 4 food. We've got 6 energy. I think we're going to want the food later. Well, no, you know what? We'll go for energy. We'll go from 6 to 8. Let's just go hard on energy. That's fine. So that's our first action. The second thing we're going to do is this bottom action. So we need to deactivate a fleet power. So we have no active fleet power now, and spend 1 energy and 1 material. So we go, energy goes from 8 to 7. We have no materials, so we're going to spend a credit instead, go from 6 to 5. Credits can be used for any of the basic types, but not for science. So that's kind of a steep cost. What do we get for that cost? Well, we can build an installation and we can gain an agenda. Let's do the installation first. We don't really need another installation, but we'll put a shipyard down because maybe that'll be useful to us for deploying more fleet power later. So we've got another shipyard down. So now that's going to hit our upkeep at the end of the cycle now that we've filled those 3. And then we can gain an agenda. So when we gain an agenda, this is just the general gain an agenda icon. We can pick any of these 4 agenda types, and you can either pick the face up agenda, or if you don't like it, you can pick any of the 4 decks face down. You take the top 2, look at them, keep 1, put the other on the bottom of the deck. Now, each of these agendas, to play it, you have to pair it with a specific type of focus card. So that's one of the things we want to take into account is what focus card might we play next so that we can pair it with one of these. So you can see development pairs, where do we got, where am I here? Development pairs with wealth, and Conquest pairs with support, and innovation pairs with dominance. Politics is the one focus type that pairs with nothing. So you can't play an agenda with that one. So we're going to want to pick probably a dominance, support, or wealth agenda. A might agenda pairs with prosperity and progress. We've already discarded progress because of the galactic event, and we just played prosperity. So if we grab that, we won't have a chance to play it this cycle. And so each of the agenda types, all of the agendas in that deck are going to have the same pairings and the same bonus action you get when you play it. What will be different is the scoring criteria at the bottom. So I think Belitan is probably going to play Conquest next, and so they're going to want a support agenda. So we can either take this one, which says you gain 6 influence if you have 1 or fewer corruption at the end of the cycle, and 5 influence for each pair of farmers guilds. And for the sake of demonstration, let's just take that one. We're going to take that. So this agenda just goes into our hand. We're going to put it off to the side here. We have it. It's not in play yet. And then after we've done that, we replace that one with the top one from the deck now. All right, so that was our 2 actions for Belitan. They played Prosperity. Cortozaar is going to do something different. I don't know what, but let's take a look at the cards here and pick something. Yeah, there's a lot of good options here. I think I'll play Politics probably. Let's do that. We'll show Politics. So this is the one that cannot be paired with any agenda. And so we've got a few choices here. We could advance a statecraft track, we can invade and improve a glory token, or we can move a corruption and gain a trade token. So I'm going to start with this middle action. That costs 2 energy. We go from 2 to 0, and 1 credit. So that goes from 4 to 3. And now the things we can do are improve or upgrade a glory token, and we can invade. We're going to upgrade the glory token first. That generally makes sense. So we've got this number 2 glory token, and we're replacing it with a number 3. They go up to 5. So there we go. And now we can invade. And so I am going to invade. Oh, this is funny. I see what I did now. When I was setting up, I put those guilds there instead of the outpost. Oh, they've been sitting there the whole time. That's pretty funny. Okay, get those out of there. So what I'm going to have Cortozaar do is invade this sector. So that means any of the adjacent sectors that I have fleet power in, which is going to be just this one, I can move fleet power into the combat sector. And so I'm going to move everything out of my home sector, and I'll still hold it because, again, it has my player colored die, population die in the sector. So I'm going to move in my Dreadnought and my 1 Corvette into this sector. And now we go into combat. So the first thing is the approach step. If there are any sector defenses in this sector for the defender, then those would do 1 damage each. There are no sector defenses, so that doesn't matter. Even if there was one, my Dreadnought here would absorb 1 approach damage. So anyway, that's the approach step. That happens only once. And then we go to the salvo step, and we're just going to repeat that step as many times as necessary until at least one side has no more fleet power in the sector. So first thing we're going to do is calculate initiative. The Voidborn have 2 corvettes, so that's 2 initiative. My 1 corvette is worth 1, and this Dreadnought is worth 1 plus a bonus 1. So I actually have 3 initiative. It's 3 to 2. So that means I fire first. So by default, whoever fires does exactly 1 damage. The opponent has to recall 1 fleet power, and then they get to fire back, and then you would repeat salvos. But I have Torpedoes Tech, and if you have 1 or more corvettes present, which I do, in the first salvo, do 1 additional damage step. So I am firing first. I do 1 damage by default, and then 1 from torpedoes, and that is going to be all of the Voidborn fleet power. So I've eliminated the Voidborn from that sector. Now this would be their turn to fire back on me, but they have no fleet power left, so they have no one who is able to fire. So combat is now over. I've got the only fleet power cubes left in the sector. So now I gain all the goodies that are there. In whatever order I want. So there's 2 glory. I add that to the glory I have. This is a combined total of 5. So I gain 5 glory. So I go from 27 to 32. So this is why on this politics card, I wanted to improve or upgrade my glory token before the invade action so that I could get the improved glory amount. If I invaded first and then I upgraded, I'd be missing out on 1 extra influence. Now there's also a bounty token in the sector. I get to resolve this. So the bounty tokens that come with the game are cardboard tokens, and you just flip it over and reveal what it is. Again, these are stand-ins that I'm using. Just make setup a little faster, and then I draw one of the cardboard ones out of the corresponding bag. That's just the way that I prefer to do it. So we get 1 random bounty token, flip it over, and we get 1 food and 1 material, or we have the option to just gain 1 influence. I'm going to take the resources. So I go from 3 food to 4, and from 3 materials to 4. Cool. Later in the game, you might have a lot of resources. There might not be enough game left to spend it. Then it's good to start taking the influence. So we're going to take that token and just put it here beside our house mat. You can see there's a spot for bounty tokens and reclaim tokens. You might get agendas or something like this one here that score for those tokens that you've gained. So that's why you hold on to them. So now I've just gained myself another sector. That's pretty cool. And that was the first action that I took. I get to take 1 more action, and I'm going to take the one on the bottom. So I spend 1 credit, go from 3 to 2. I gain a trade token. So I take the bottommost trade token, and then I can gain either the bounty token, which is the reward right there next to the trade token I took, or 1 science. That is still available too. I'll take the bounty token. That tends to be the better reward. Not always, but we get either 2 energy or 1 influence. So I'll take the 2 energy because I'm out of energy. So I go from 0 to 2. Great. Nice little bounty token economy going here. And now I can also move a corruption. The only corruption I have is in that sector. Do I want it on my house mat or in another sector? I can move it between sectors too. And you know what? Let's say yes. Let's do it. Let's move it off of there. So it's still 3 population, but it's pure now. And I will move it to this agenda slot here. Now I could put it on one of my tracks, but there's always the possibility that I could advance the track. And if it's corrupted, then you don't gain the bonus. Whereas I don't think I'm going to slot that many agendas this round. So even if I don't get rid of the corruption, I don't think it'll cost me anything. So those are my 2 actions. One thing to note, I gain this trade token this turn. I'm not allowed to spend it on this turn to now take the 3rd action. If you're going to take all 3 actions by spending a trade token, you must do that at the beginning of the turn before you've taken any actions. So my turn is over now. I need to slot this trade token, so I'll put it down here on this agenda. And that's it for Cortozaar's first turn of cycle 2. So now we go back to Belitan, and I gained this agenda last time that I said I was going to play with Conquest. So let's do that. Let's play Conquest. And now, just like the trade tokens we were just talking about at the beginning of your turn, if you have an agenda in hand that matches the focus card you selected, you can play it. So I'll just put that there. I'm playing this agenda card. So that means on this turn, I can take any 2 of these focus actions and the agenda action in addition, and I can mix them. I can take them in whatever order I want. So the agenda action I've got on this card is activate a fleet power and build an installation. I don't think I want to do that yet because I don't have anywhere I can build an installation. Let's see if I can make a place. So Belitan's going to start with this top action on Conquest, which costs 2 energy. They go from 7 down to 5, and they can either invade or regroup. We don't really need to regroup, so we're going to invade with Belitan also. And we will also invade from the home sector, but we're going to go a different route. We're going to go up this way. So we're going to move from the home sector, and we're just going to go ahead and take all 3 of these corvettes. So let's look at combat here. So on approach, there is a sector defense, and there's no mitigating factors. So Belitan, the invader, is going to lose 1 fleet power, gets recalled back to their active area. And now we go to the first salvo. So we, again, count up initiative. The Voidborn have 1 corvette. Belitan has 1, 2, plus targeting. If you have at least 1 corvette present, gain 5 initiative. So the initiative is 7 to 1. So I fire first. It takes out this fleet power, and now there is no Voidborn fleet power to fire back. So that is the end of combat. Belitan wins their combat as well. So we are spreading out now. Now, in this case, this sector has an installation, it has a sector defense. After combat, you clear all the installations that are there. If there happen to be any guilds, like this, if this was another player's sector and there were guilds there, then you keep the guilds, but the installations go away by default. And I phrase it that way because there are technologies that could change that. We gain this number 3 glory token. So we've got a 3 and a 2, so we're gaining 5 influence for that. We're at 16. That brings us up to 21. And there's also a reclaim token. So a reclaim token tends to be, I would say, stronger than a bounty token. Bounty tokens are generally giving you resources. Reclaim tokens are generally giving you guilds and installations. So we're going to pick a random reclaim token out of this bag. And we get one here, we flip it over. And so yeah, we can build an installation of our choice in the combat sector, in that sector, or alternatively, we can gain 2 influence. So we will build an installation, and we're going to go with another shipyard for a couple reasons. One, it could help them deploy since they seem to like to deploy. But also remember, pure sectors with shipyards are worth 2 points. Pure sectors with sector defenses are worth 1 point. So ideally you get both. This sector is not pure anyway, but assuming we purify it, it's worth a little bit more to have the shipyard. So again, just like these bounty tokens here, we're going to take this reclaim token, set it beside Belitan's house mat. So that was their first action, invade. The second action will be this middle one. So we are going to spend 1 energy, go from 5 to 4, and 1 credit, also go from 5 to 4, and we can gain an agenda and move a corruption. Let's do the corruption first. Let's move this one from the sector we just took to our decontamination chambers, which can hold up to 2 corruption. So that's full now, but now look at what we've got, 4, 8, 9, 10 pure population. Look, we're already achieving that top objective. So now we just need to maintain that. And now both of these sectors will score for us. So that's great. And then we can also gain an agenda. So again, the question is, what might we play after this? And remembering what our cards were, politics doesn't pair with any agendas. Development would be wealth. Innovation would be dominance. Let's go innovation. And this one is going to score really well for your civilization tracks advancing. I don't know that Belitan is really doing that. So maybe in this case, let's take the top 2 dominance agendas from the deck and take a look at what they are. 4 sectors with 3 or more population. We're getting pretty close to that. And then multiplier for econ track, which we haven't touched. Or if we get 1 track up to level tier 3, I don't think we're going to do that. But then a multiplier for pure sectors with 3 or more population. So the question is, these are kind of similar to each other. Are we going to advance this econ track higher, or are we going to have more pure sectors with 3 or more population? I think we're better off just taking a lot of sectors and getting the population up. So I'm going to take that, probably score better for it, put it in my hand. The other one goes to the bottom of its respective deck. And now we've taken all parts of that action. So we've taken our top action and our middle action, and we still have our agenda action to take. So let's do that. We activate 1 fleet power, and we can build an installation. And the only sector with any open installation slots is this one we just took. We might as well put a sector defense there since we already have a shipyard. So now it's a little bit better defended, and now we've got one of each of the 2 basic installation types, so that'll help with scoring as well. So even though the score now is 21 to 32, that set up Belitan much better for future scoring. So that was pretty good. It is Cortozaar's turn now. We have no agendas in hand. What are we going to do? Let's take a look here. You know what? We will have Cortozaar play Innovation, and we will flip this trade token and take all 3 actions on Innovation. So the first thing we're going to do is take the middle action, spend 2 science, go from 4 to 2, and we can gain a technology, either basic or improved. Now, to get an improved technology, you have to have the basic version already, and you have to unlock it. So each time one of these tracks crosses this line here, it unlocks an improved tech, so you can unlock up to 3 that way. And then there's another line here that can unlock up to 3 more as you advance your tracks. And in the tutorial, you cannot have more than 5 technologies, but in a typical game, you can gain a 6th slot and unlock them all. So anyway, we have not unlocked any improved techs yet, so we can only gain a basic tech, and that's okay, because what we're going to gain is Neural Matrix. And this is going to pay for a lot of stuff for us, I think. Although, man, Trade Nexus is so good. I would like Cortozaar to get both of these. Let's stick with what I have. So this is going to get us 4 influence. So we go from 32 to 36. And the immediate bonus is we can place a Banker's Guild. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll place it in the only sector, again, where we have open guild slots right there. So now our credit production goes up by 3 levels. So we're at level 2 already from the Banker's Guild in our home sector. We get another 3 now. So we're at level 5, and our yield is 2. And we can slot this now. The technology says when you produce credits, first gain 2 credits. Okay, that's pretty cool. So now let's take this top action. It costs 2 food. We go from 4 down to 2. We can produce science and credits. We don't produce any science. Our yield is 0, so that does nothing. But we're going to produce credits, and with Neural Matrix, we first gain 2 credits, so go from 2 to 4, and then produce credits, and our yield is 2, so we go from 4 to 6. So now we got a bunch of credits. That's good. That helps us pay for things. That's flexible. And then, similar to the production card we saw in the first cycle, gain 1 influence for each pure scientist guild or banker's guild. We have 2 pure banker's guilds, so that's 2 influence. We go from 36 to 38. All right, and now we can take all 3 actions because we spent the trade token. So this bottom one, gain an agenda, costs a food, an energy, and a materials. I think I'm going to pay a material, an energy, and a credit, because we're going to start needing some food. We've only got 2 food, and we've got like a lot of upkeep to pay for later, so we want to be cognizant of that. And so we're going to gain an agenda. And when we first looked at Belitan, they had the option to really play dominance, wealth, or support, but not might because of the way in which they had played their cards. But we still have prosperity in our hand, so we could gain a might agenda as well as a wealth agenda or a conquest agenda. Let's go ahead and grab a might agenda. And this one on top looks pretty good because if you have 3 sector defenses or more, then you gain 5 influence. We've already got that. And then 2 influence for every fleet power you've got on the map. We haven't been working real hard towards that, but maybe we should. This would really be a better one for Belitan, honestly, but maybe Cortozaar is taking it to prevent Belitan from getting it. I don't know. She wouldn't really do in a co-op game, but here we are. So again, this goes into our hand. I'll just set it down there. We don't have it yet. And similar to trade tokens, say I had gained a dominance agenda. I couldn't put it into play immediately with the innovation card that I have out. You have to play the agenda at the beginning of your turn, same time you would flip the trade token. So that was my 3rd action. I first got a tech, then I produced credits and gained some influence for it, and then I got an agenda. So now I take this flip trade token, return it to the galactic board, and it is Belitan's turn. And I forgot, at the end of Belitan's turn, they had to take this agenda and either slot it or return it to the agenda offer. So we're going to just say that they slotted it. If you don't keep it, it goes to the bottom of its respective deck. So we come back to Belitan, and if you ever forget, like we've got 4 turns in this cycle, you can just pick up the cards from right here and look at them. We've got 2 down, so we know we've played 2 turns. We've got 2 more turns. So we've got innovation, politics, and development, but we grabbed this agenda that pairs with innovation, so we should probably play that. So let's play Innovation, pair it with this Agenda card, and now we can take 2 actions off Innovation as well as the action on the Agenda card. And so Belitan will also start with this middle action. They want to gain a tech. They're going to spend 2 Science, go from 4 down to 2, and they have also not unlocked any improved techs, so they can't get their starting tech or any of the ones here on the offer. So they're going to go ahead and grab Deep Space Missiles because this one helps with if you have a lot of shipyards, which they've been building a lot of. So we grab this. They gain 4 influence, go from 21 to 25. And they also gain 2 energy, go from 4 to 6. And gain a shipyard. So let's go ahead and take another shipyard. Won't say no to that. We'll put it in the one spot that we have. So that's going to end up costing an upkeep. And let's slot the tech and see what this does. During combat, if you're the invader, if you have 1 or more adjacent shipyards, you may spend 1 energy to deal an approach damage. And on prosperity focus, you may spend 1 materials to build a shipyard. So we've already played prosperity, but that's basically saying every time you play your prosperity focus card, this is an additional action you can take. You can spend a material to gain another shipyard. So that's pretty cool. So we've got Deep Space Missiles now. And if we look at this top action, Belitan wouldn't produce any science or any credits. They've got none of those types of guilds. So that would do absolutely nothing for them. So they're going to take the bottom action, spend a food, energy, and material. And we will spend an energy. Oh, and they don't have any materials. So they've got to spend a credit for that. And we'll spend a food, it's fine, to take an agenda. And so they've got politics and development left. And politics doesn't pair with any agendas, so just for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and take a wealth agenda that pairs with development. But this one is not going to score them anything. Oh, it'll score them some. That's not a bad one. We'll take it. Put it in hand. Replace it. Don't worry about analyzing it too much. We're just trying to learn how to play right now, right? So those were 2 actions, but I still have the agenda action left to take. So let's go ahead and do that now. And as a reminder, I could have taken these actions in any order that I wanted, but I'm just choosing to do the agenda one last. And that is an invade action. So we are going to invade, and let's pick this sector here because this will be a little bit interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and take this fleet token and split these 2 fleet power and invade with just 1. And I'm doing that because if I invaded with both, that would abandon this sector, and then I wouldn't have it anymore, and the Voidborn would take it back over, and that wouldn't be great. So I'm invading with just 1, which doesn't look great off the bat, but there's a couple things. 1, during combat when I'm the invader, since I have Deep Space Missiles now, if I have at least 1 adjacent shipyard, and this sector is actually adjacent to 1, 2, 3 shipyards. Oh, actually, let me clarify that. It says if you have 1 or more adjacent sectors with 1 or more shipyards. So I'm adjacent to 1 sector with shipyards and 2 sectors with shipyards. So I meet the criteria. I may spend an energy to deal an approach damage. Let's do that. I have a lot of energy this game with Belitan, so I'm going to spend 1, go from 5 to 4, and deal 1 approach damage. So it's now the approach step, and we check here, and none of this stuff applies, but I do get 1 approach damage, so that's 1 hit against the Voidborn. They lose a fleet power. Now we check initiative. It appears to be 1-to-1, which means we'd fire simultaneously and take each other out. But because I have targeting, that means this Corvette gets +5 initiative. So it's really 6-to-1. So I get to fire first, eliminate their last fleet power, and they have nobody to fire back. So there you go. Getting to demonstrate targeting a little bit. That's cool. In the Resurgence expansion, targeting gets a nice little buff as well. So that's exciting. So I've got a glory token and a bounty token. Let's take the glory token. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I go from 25 influence to 32. And so we're catching up now to Cortozaar. And I've got this bounty token, so I'll get rid of this placeholder and draw a cardboard 1 from this bag. And we've got gain 1 resource of any type. So if you don't know what to do in that case, always take a credit. So we go from 3 to 4. I know what to do, but we're going to take credit. So that'll be fine. So we gained a tech, we gained an agenda, we did our invasion. The invasion is now over. Here's our sector, and that is it. So now we go to this cleanup step, and we do need to either slot this agenda or put it on the bottom of that deck. We'll go ahead and slot it. We'll keep it. Now, important to keep in mind here, now that I've got another non-starting agenda, when you're slotting your agendas, remember, you can only have a maximum of one of each type of those 4 basic agendas. So if I already had a dominance agenda and I wanted to slot this one, I could replace it, but I couldn't slot both. I could replace the one I have, and then the one that I had would go to the bottom of the deck. So do keep that in mind. It is now turn 3 for Cortozaar. We've got this might agenda in hand, so I guess we are playing prosperity to pair together. Again, you can check the symbols there. And so we've got an action here and 2 actions to take here. So this agenda is a little bit different. Its action, compared to the other 3 types, its action is you can either gain a trade token or advance your lowest civilization track. If there is a tie, you get to choose. So we can either advance the statecraft track or gain a trade token. That's interesting to think about. And if you're considering advancing the lowest track, it doesn't matter in this particular example, but playing this with prosperity, prosperity allows me to advance the economic track. So the order that you do those 2 things could be important. If they were all at the bottom, just as an example, you could advance your lowest track and do econ first and then advance econ again and get to really push one track that way. So look for combos like that as you play, but I don't think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with this action. I'm going to take a trade token, so I'll take that one. So I've got a trade token, and I'm going to take a bounty token as my reward. So I grab one from here. We get 2 materials or 1 influence. So I'll happily take some materials. So I go from 3 to 5 because, again, those are needed to deploy more dreadnoughts, and I would sure like to deploy some dreadnoughts. So let's take that. So that was what I got for gaining a trade token. I'm also going to advance my economic track, which, hey, that costs a material. Go from 5 down to 4. So I advance to here. I've now unlocked 1 improved tech, so I can improve either torpedoes, dreadnoughts, or neural matrix if I have the opportunity. And my reward is right now I can build a guild, and we're going to go Bankers Guild again. We'll put it right there. So that level is going to go up by another 3. So I go from 5 to 8. My yield is 3. Painful on the on the credits trying to get your yield up, but very worth it, especially with neural matrix. So I've done my agenda action to gain a trade token. I've done this top action on prosperity, and now I'm going to do the bottom action. So I'm going to deactivate a fleet power and spend 1 energy. It's down to 0. 1 material down to 3, and I can build an installation as well as gain an agenda. So I'll start with the installation. I would like a shipyard here, please. I keep talking about wanting to deploy more fleet power to the map, but I don't have any active fleet power, so that's something I'm going to have to reconcile at some point. But we've built an installation, and now I can gain an agenda as well. And I'm going to go ahead and take a support agenda, which is probably not what I would actually do, but I want to show you something. So let me do this. And we flip these over. I didn't like the one on top, but this one looks like it'll work out real well for me right now. So take the one I did not select, put it on the bottom of the deck. All right. How many actions was that? 3. That was my agenda action, the top action here, and the bottom action here. So now this trade token that I gained, I need to slot it. And this agenda that I played, I'm going to slot that as well. I have the option to slot it, and I will take it. So now we go back to Belitan, who has played 3 cards, right? Prosperity, Conquest, Innovation. We've got 1 more to go because there's 4 turns in the cycle. And I have decided I'm going to play Development with this agenda. Okay, what do I want to do here? Tell you what, we will start with the bottom action. We will spend 1 science, go from 2 to 1, to either increase a pure population or remove a corruption. And we're going to increase a pure population. And we'll do this outpost sector here. We're going to go from 2 to 3 so that I can raise my production levels on energy and materials in case I ever produce those. The next thing I'm going to do is take the top action, spend 1 material. I don't have any, so I need to spend a credit. I go from 4 to 3. And now I can build either a guild or an installation. And for some demonstration purposes, we're going to go ahead and build a farmer's guild right here. We want to put it there rather than either of these 2 spots because these would increase our upkeep, whereas this will not. We could put it over here. That would also not increase upkeep, but then it's not going to be, 1, it's not going to be pure, so we won't have a chance to score for it potentially, depending on what we've got going on. But 2, This sector has 4 population, this has 3, so this will potentially give us the higher production yield. So we built a farmers guild there in a 4 pop sector, so this value goes up by 4. We're up to level 8 now, which is a yield of 5. And I should point out that a guild being in a corrupted sector versus a pure sector has nothing to do with how much it produces. So don't let that trip you up. So I've taken this bottom action, this top action, and now I'm going to take the agenda action, which says build 1 guild and then produce whatever resource type matches that guild. So for fun here, we will put another farmer's guild here. So we built the guild, the level goes up by another 4. So it goes from level 8 to level 12. Our yield is 12. And now we produce food. So I have 3, produce 12. That brings us up to our maximum of 15. If I had gone over 15, any excess would be lost, but that is called overproducing, and you gain 3 influence each time you do that. So now it's the end of my turn. Let's go ahead and slot this agenda because we don't have another wealth agenda. So now I've got a support agenda, a dominance agenda, and a wealth agenda slotted here. And that is it for Belitan this cycle. Now we go to Cortozaar. And we're going to let them get themselves in some trouble. They're going to play Conquest with this agenda. And for fun, we'll even flip the trade tokens. They can take all 3 Conquest actions plus the agenda action. So let's start with the agenda action. We can activate a fleet power and we can build an installation. So let's maybe put a sector defense here, get ourselves a little bit better defended. And now I think we'll take this top action. It costs 2 energy. We don't have any energy, so we're going to spend 2 credits. We go from 5 down to 3. We can either invade or regroup. We're going to invade, and we're going to invade this sector from this one. So I'm going to move 2 fleet power in. So let's do that. Here's another token for me. All right, we move 2 fleet power in. Nothing is going to happen during the approach step in this combat. We check initiative. My initiative's higher. I fire twice because of torpedoes, so that's overkill. And that's the end of that combat. So now we gain the glory token and score our glory. That's 6. So we go from 38 to 44. Oops, passed it. There we go, 44. And that is it for that combat. And let's take the middle action now. I just happen to be going straight down, but I don't have to go in that order. And that costs 1 energy and 1 credit. I don't have any energy, so I'm going to spend 2 credits. I'm down to 1 credit now. And I can gain an agenda and move a corruption. I'm going to gain an agenda of the wealth type. And I think this one on top looks pretty good. Let's take that, replace it. And what did I say I can do? I can move a corruption, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to leave all my corruption where it is. So that's fine. And I've used my trade token, so I could take the bottom action as well. That costs 3 materials. I'm going to spend 2 materials and a credit. I'm out of credits now, but I did save 1 material, and I can activate 2 fleet power. So these come over here. That's a really great thing to do. All right, that's it. That's all the actions I can take. I'm going to slot this agenda, and I'm going to return this trade token to the galactic board. And that is it. That was 4 turns from each player. So Belitan did not play politics, and Cortozaar did not play development. And they've got 1 agenda in hand. Now, at the start of the evaluation phase, which is now decontamination chambers, you can remove 1 corruption from this card. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now it's time for the skirmish, again in turn order. So Belitan is first. They have 0 corruption on their house mat, +1 because it's cycle 2. So they're going to get skirmished at 1. So now we're going to look at all their sectors and see what would happen if 1 Voidborn fleet power came in. If 1 comes here, it'll get destroyed by the sector defense, the approach step, end of combat. Home sector can't be attacked. This one can't be attacked either because it is not adjacent to any Voidborn sectors, which is also a requirement. This one's adjacent to this Voidborn sector. The home sector is as well, but as I said, it can't be attacked. This one is immune because it's kind of pocketed there. Let's look at this one now. We have 1 Voidborn fleet power come in for the attack. It looks like the initiative is tied at first glance, but because we have targeting, then the initiative is actually 6-1. Belitan fires first and is fine and defends that skirmish. But I will point out that in this case, deep space missiles would be of no help because that only helps when you're the invader, not the defender. But in any case, House Belitan defends against any skirmish, so they're done with that step. Now we look at Cortozaar. They've got 1 corruption on their house mat, +1 because it's cycle 2, so they would have to defend against 2 Voidborn fleet power coming in. So let's see what that looks like. This sector back there is pocketed. It's not touching any Voidborn sectors. Their home sector is immune. So we just have to check the... oh, this one's pocketed too. So this is the only valid target. Let's see what happens. 2 Voidborn fleet power come in. 1 gets hit by the sector defense. And then we go to the salvo. We've got the initiative here. 1, 2, 3 for the Dreadnought to 1 for the Voidborn. So we would fire first. We actually get a second salvo damage as well because of torpedoes. So both sides defend their skirmishes. Great. Now we go to upkeep, and this is something that I wanted to that I kind of arranged in a certain way. So let's see how much upkeep Belitan has. They've got 2, 4, 6, 8 for these agendas with no trade tokens on them, plus 9, 10. 10 upkeep they've got to pay. Food is the most efficient way to do it. Each food is 1 upkeep. 2 energy or materials on any combination is a single upkeep. So we have to pay, what did I say, 8, 9, 10. We've got 15 food, so we're going to pay with food. We've got 5 food left. Good for Belitan. Let's see what I did to Cortozaar now. So I thought about this a while back. On the prosperity card, when I took an agenda, I took this support agenda and played Conquest. In reality, I was already thinking about upkeep. I probably would have taken these in the opposite order. I would have taken this agenda to get another Farmers Guild down, just like Belitan did, to produce a bunch of food so I could pay upkeep. But I kind of wanted to show what would happen if you don't manage that. So let's counter upkeep here. We've got 2, 4, 6 from agendas, plus nothing there, 7 on that one, and then 8, 9. So we owe 9 upkeep. What do we have? We have 2 food, no energy, 1 material. So we owe 9, and you cannot choose not to pay and take the penalty. You have to pay if you can. So we go from 9, 8, 7. Now we're out of food, and you need pairs of energy and material or in combination. We have 1 material, no energy. So that's it. That's all we can pay. So our total resources are 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. Not a lot of resources. So there was 7 upkeep we cannot satisfy. For each one, we lose 3 influence. So we're going to lose 21 influence. So I wanted to show you what that looks like. So we're at 44, 43, 33, 23. That's painful. That's a big hit. Okay, that's the upkeep step. Now we evaluate the galactic event objectives. So Belitan's first. Do they have at least 9 pure population? They've got 3, 7, 11. That's it. So yes. The other one, do they have 3 techs? Yes. So they meet both criteria. So they get to choose which one would they like to resolve. They can in either case, they'll activate a fleet power. Would they rather have a basic tech or improve a population or increase a pure population? I would definitely take the technology. And if you're really on the fence, what you could do is take terraforming, which its immediate effect would let you improve a tech or upgrade, increase a pure population. So you could, in effect, do both. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a tech and we're going to take sentries just because I want to show another ship type if I can. So 4 influence for gaining sentries there. We go from 32 to 36. And you can build a sector defense and deploy a sentry to your home sector. And this says, with this tech, you may deploy into sentry fleets. And when you build an installation, you may instead deploy a sentry to the same sector. So with that in mind, let's resolve these 2 effects. Let's do the one on the right first. Let's deploy a sentry to our home sector. So here's Belitan's home sector. There's a sentry, fleet token, put a cube in it, okay. And then we can build a sector defense anywhere. So if I was going to build it, the only place I could build it is this sector here because all the other installation slots are filled. But with sentries, when you build an installation, you can instead deploy a sentry to the same sector. So let's do that. Let's deploy a sentry here instead of building that sector defense. So here's another token. There we go. Cool. That's pretty neat. Now we slot that. That was Belitan resolving the galactic event. Now let's look at Cortozaar and what I've done to them. So do they have 9 or more pure population? No, they've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have another 2 population there, but it is corrupted. So they don't meet that top criteria. What does the bottom one have? 3 techs? They do have that. So they can resolve that, which will allow them to activate another fleet power and increase a pure population. And for fun, let's do that here. So we flip from 3 to 4. And when I do that, each Banker's Guild there makes this level go up 1. So it goes from level 8 to level 10. The yield is now 4. Okay, that is what Cortozaar got for the Galactic event. Now we resolve, or we score our pure agendas. And this part can happen simultaneously in a multiplayer game, but it's kind of nice to know what everybody's doing. So we'll do Belitan first. They've got 4 pure agendas. They're starting at 36 influence here. So they are now 13 ahead of Cortozaar because Cortozaar lost so much on the upkeep. But let's score these. So each pure sector is worth 3 influence. We've got 1, 2, 3 pure sectors. So that's 9 influence. That takes us up to 45. Each pure sector with at least 1 sector defense is 1 influence. 1, 2, up to 47. Each pure sector with at least 1 shipyard is worth 2. 1, 2, 3. So that's another 6 influence. That takes us up to 53. Now we go to the next agenda card here. This one's pure. If you have 1 or fewer corruption, 6 influence. We have 1 here and 1 here. So unfortunately, we don't meet that. Each pair of pure farmers guilds is worth 5 influence. We've got 1 pair here. It doesn't have to necessarily be on that on the same sector, but we've got 1, 2, 3 pure farmers guilds. So we've got 1 pair, 5 influence for that. We're up to 58. Next, if you have any civilization tracks that are pure and in tier 3 for influence, we're nowhere near tier 3, but let's check this. Each pure sector with 3 or more population, 1, 2, 3 of those, is worth 3 influence. That's another 9 influence. That's big. That gets us up to 67. Finally, each pure sector with 2 different fleet types on it is worth 4 influence. Or I'm sorry, if you have 2 pure different fleet types, and we do. We have a Sentry here and a Corvette there. So that is 4 influence. So that gets us to 71. And finally, each reclaim token we have is worth 2 influence. We've got 1 reclaim token here. So that gets us to 73. Let's see what happens to Cortozaar. We've got each pure sector is worth 3 influence. They've got 1, 2, 3 of those, so 9 influence. That's going to get them up to 32. Pure sectors with sector defenses are worth 1. 1, 2 sectors that meet that criteria, so up to 34. Pure sectors with shipyards, 1, 2, just 2. So that's going to be another 4 influence because those are 2 each. So that gets us to 38. Next card, this is pure. If we have 3 or more pure sector defenses, which Cortozaar does, 5 influence. So that's going to be 43. Each pure fleet power is worth 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and those are corrupted. So 3. 3 times 2 is 6. That's going to be 49 influence total. If you have 1 or more corrupted agenda slots, we do. This one is corrupted. That's 7 influence. So a little consolation prize for that. That'll get us to 56. Right? I think so. And then each pure sector with 3 or more guilds is worth 4 influence. We've only got 1 right now. That's that one back there. So that's going to get us up to 60. Not as bad as I thought, but 60 to 73. So you see the tables have definitely turned the way that I made Cortozaar play their last turn with Conquest instead of Development. Had I played Development, I would have gotten another guild down here and then scored another 4 influence for that as well. So Cortozaar could be doing much better, but I held them back to show you the devastation that can happen when you're not paying attention to your upkeep. So that's it for cycle 2. So now each player takes all of their played cards, puts them back in their hand. So we get our other ones here. I still have this agenda card in my hand. Same thing on this side. Gain our cards, put them in our hand. And now we go to the preparation phase for cycle 3. So we're going to remove a trade token just like we did last time. And we're going to clear these improved techs now. So these 4 go away. They're out of the game. So if you didn't grab them by now, you're not getting them. So I'll put those off to the side. And here are 4 new ones for cycle 3, which is just going to be the 4 other techs. So we've got deep space missiles, dreadnoughts, sentries, and neural matrix. And we happen to have players with all 4 of those techs. So maybe we'll see some of those come out. And then we get to adjust our turn order. And Cortozaar's got lower influence, so they would get to choose first. But I'm going to leave the turn order as it is just for simplicity. And then we replace the galactic event. So now we're in cycle 3 of the tutorial. We have Redemption Awaits. 5 turns this cycle. Read the compendium so you know what you're doing. And then discard Temptation Focus. That is this one here. So Temptation is not used at all in the tutorial. You don't get to try that out. It does some really neat stuff. It's a strong card. But you'll notice some of the costs are you gain Corruption as the cost. That can be a bit to manage when you're learning the game. And the top action here is take an action from a preferred focus, which that's either of these focuses here on your house mat. You'll see Belitan has Progress and Prosperity, where Cortozaar has Progress and Development. So you get to look at other cards, whether you've played them or not, and take actions off of those cards. And again, that can be a bit to manage when you're trying to learn the game. So Temptation gets discarded, and then each player in turn order can either gain an agenda or advance a track. So Belitan is first. They're going to gain an agenda, I guess. And I want them to grab this top might agenda here. Got some ideas about that. Flip it, and now it is Cortozaar's turn. They can either gain an agenda or advance a track. And we'll advance a track. Let's advance Statecraft, and we get to activate a fleet power. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so now let's look at the objectives for the galactic event. And in cycle 3, the rewards for the objectives will always be influence, because you don't need to get techs and track advances and other stuff at the end of the game, because you just need the points at that point. So, in either case, you get to pick one of these. In either case, it's 15 influence for having 8 or more pure guilds, or for having a pure civilization track at tier 2 or higher. I've not really been pushing the civ tracks, but if I really wanted to, I could have had Cortozaar, for example, on that last step. Instead of advancing this track, advance this one, play Prosperity, easily get it into tier 2, and I could probably still do it. So maybe I'll try and have Cortozaar do that, and have Belitan do the guilds, even though, where's Cortozaar at the guilds? They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've got 7 pure guilds. Belitan's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're a little further behind. Whatever, we'll see how it goes. I'm playing 2 houses at once. I'm being real loosey-goosey, but when you're playing, you kind of want to pick at the beginning of the cycle, like, which of these things do I want to go for? You want to have a plan in mind and then start figuring out your cards in advance and how can you chain them together. That's the way you really want to play. It's not really what I'm demonstrating here, but that's okay. So we get 5 focus turns this round, and we've got 8 focus cards in our hand. So we get to play 5 out of the 8. 3 of these things are not going to happen. Okay, so what are we doing here? We start with Belitan, and I took this might agenda. Let's pair it with Prosperity, I think. We've got Progress in our hand now, though, and Progress is great. They don't let you have that till cycle 3 in the tutorial. But we're going to play Prosperity, pair it with this agenda card. We will start with the agenda action. I'm going to do exactly what I had described as a hypothetical earlier, just to show it. So we're going to start with the agenda. I'm going to take this action on the left to advance my lowest track, which is my econ track. So that goes up. This bonus says advance it again. And now I get a trade token. All right, so I can gain 2 food, materials, or energy in any combination. You can mix and match. I can gain a bounty token, or I can gain a science. I don't really know that I have a specific plan with this one, so let's gain a bounty token. Sometimes I like to take the bounty token just to make the decision for me. And then sometimes you can get an agenda that'll score for it. Okay, 1 food, 1 material, or 1 influence. If I'm being honest, I think I'm okay on resources. I could take the influence, but let's take the resources. Go from 5 to 6 and 0 to 1. Let's do that. Because if you're just learning the game, you're probably making different decisions, and you might be a little tighter on resources at this point. So let's take that. I can still take 2 more actions from this Prosperity card, and I'm going to start with the top one. So I spend that 1 material that I just got. Goes back down to 0, and I can advance my econ track a second time, and that lets me build a guild. So I'm going to build a scientist guild, and I'm going to put it here so I don't have to pay upkeep for it, even though I can definitely afford the upkeep if I put it somewhere else, but whatever. Oop, this one here. So that goes up by 3. It starts at level 0. We go up to level 3. Our yield is now 2 on science, and I built a scientist guild just because there's not one on the board yet, and so there it is. Now you've seen one. And then while we're at it, let's take this middle action. We can gain 2 resources of any type. Let's gain 2 science, so we go from 1 to 3. And then we can produce 1 resource. Let's produce food. We have 6 food, and we produce 12. So that's going to overproduce. We're up to 15 food now. The extra is lost, but we gain 3 influence. So we're at 76. Okay. Now that is it for that agenda card, or for that focus turn. So this card is done. This trade token I slot, and this agenda I can either slot it or return it to the offer. Now this is a might agenda, and I have slotted a support, dominance, and wealth. So I could replace any one of those 3. So you want to kind of do a little math at this point, try and factor in what you think you're going to do for the rest of the cycle. And all right, which one of these is going to score the worst? And what is this going to score potentially? And then, replace it in that manner. And I don't think this wealth agenda is going to score me a heck of a lot. So let's replace it with this agenda. The wealth one goes to the bottom of the wealth deck. And now we go to Cortozaar. And even though we've got this wealth agenda in hand, I think I'm going to play politics first. Maybe. What would I do with it? Let me think. No, probably not. I'm pretty low on resources. I think I will play production first. Let's get that out of the way. So this could pair with production or development. We're playing production. We're using the agenda that we have in hand, and we will start with the agenda action. So we can build a guild, establish a guild. I'm going to do a farmer's guild right there. So our food level goes up by 4. So it's at 4. Now it goes to 8, yield to 5. And then we can produce that resource type. So we produce 5 food. We go from 0 to 5. Then I can take this middle action, produce food, energy, and material. So I will do that. So another 5 food. We're up to 10. Produce 2 energy, which gets us up to 2. And produce 1 material, which gets us up to 2. Then score for our pure farmers, miners, and engineers guilds. 1 influence each. We've got pure ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go from 60 to 65. Cool. That was this action and this action. And then let's take this bottom action here. Spend 1 food and 1 energy. And so we go to 9 food and 1 energy. We can remove a corruption. Let's do that. We want to get this one off of our house mat because we're going to be slotting that agenda and we want to score it later. And we can also regroup. And as we saw earlier, this sector is kind of pocketed. It's not doing much for us, but we don't need to defend it because the Voidborn can't get there. So I'm going to regroup this 1 Corvette fleet power over to here. Try and not knock things over as I go. Okay. And that's it for this turn. So we will slot this agenda. We've got a support agenda, a might agenda and a support agenda. We will slot this wealth agenda here. Turn 2 for Belitan. And let's see what I want to do. I want to get to reinforcement probably at some point. Oh, maybe not. Progress might be, progress is usually pretty good. Development and invasion. I think I probably need Conquest. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but let's play Conquest. We don't have an agenda or anything. I could flip a trade token, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to take 2 regular actions. I'm going to start with the bottom action that costs 3 material. Oh, maybe I'm not going to do that. Well, what am I going to do? Well, you know what? Here, we won't play Conquest. We'll play Politics. That'll work fine. Let's play Politics. We're going to take 2 actions off of this. I'm going to start with the top action, spend 1 science, go from 3 to 2. And now I can advance my statecraft track, so that goes to here. And now I can gain a tech. And I have unlocked 1 improved tech, so I could gain one of these improved techs or my starting tech. And to be clear, I can gain one of these improved techs if I have the basic version. I couldn't grab like improved dreadnoughts because Belitan doesn't have dreadnoughts. So we're going to grab improved sentries. So I have 1 improved tech now, so I won't be able to get any more unless I unlock another. And technically, for scoring purposes, when you gain an improved tech, you remove the basic tech. I just don't want to separate my cards, so I'm just going to flip it upside down. But you only have the 1 card, technically, at this point. So I gain 6 influence for that card. All the improved techs are worth 6, so I go from 76 to 82. And I can build a sector defense, and activate a fleet power. And let's see what it says now. So you can still deploy into sentry fleets, but when you build an installation, you may additionally deploy a sentry in the same sector instead of, it is now in addition to. So we can activate a fleet power. I'm going to do that first. And then I can build a sector defense. So let's go ahead and do that, put a sector defense there. And in addition, I can deploy another sentry in that sector. So let's do that. I've got 2 sentries in that sector now. So what I'm trying to do is really score this agenda really well. That's a big multiplier by 7. Each pure sector with 3 fleet power in it. So I've got this one here. If I can purify this sector, I'll have a second, and I could probably get a third, either one of those sectors. So that is what I'm trying to do right now. So we will fully slot this improved tech then. So we've got improved sentries. That was advanced statecraft. That's how I got that. So now I get to do one other action, and it's going to be the bottom one. So I'm going to spend 1 credit, go from 3 down to 2, gain a trade token. So we grab this one here, and in addition to the rewards we've seen before, the bonus here is you can gain 2 credits or 2 science. I like doing that one. I'm going to grab 2 credits, go from 2 to 4. It's kind of nice that I paid 1 credit to gain 2 credits and get a trade token, so that's pretty helpful. And I can move a corruption. I'm going to move this one off this sector because I just said I wanted that one to be pure, and I'll move it onto my decontamination chambers, which can hold 2. That was my 2 actions. I slot this trade token, and now I go to House Cortozaar. What are they going to do? I don't know what they're going to do with it yet, but they're going to play innovation. There it is. All right, let's do innovation. And I really put Cortozaar in a tough spot. So they're going to have to take this top action, spend 2 food, go from 9 down to 7 to then produce science and credits. I don't produce any science, but credits, my yield is 4. And because of neural matrix, first I gain 2 credits, so I go up to 2 and then produce 4. So now I have 6 credits. That'll help me pay for other stuff. And then I'm going to take the bottom action, spend 1 food, 1 energy, 1 material. So I'm down to 6, 0, and 1 respectively to gain an agenda. And I'm going to grab another wealth agenda. So I'll put that in hand. I don't really expect to keep that one. I just want it for the action. So that was 2 actions for Cortozaar. Now we go back to Belitan. And let's see, what are we going to have them do now? I think we'll have them play Conquest now. So we're going to take the bottom action, spend 3 materials. We have none, but we can spend 3 credits. We're down to 1 credit to activate 2 fleet power. So bring those over here. And then we'll take the middle action. We're going to spend 1 energy and 1 credit. We're down to 0 credits now. And they can move a corruption. All their corruption is here on the decontamination chamber, so we're going to leave that there. And gain an agenda. And let's gain a support agenda. This one's not that great. This one's not going to be that much better. So let's take the top 2 and just see if there's anything here that might score for us. Oh yeah, this one fits a bit better, so we'll keep that. Put the other one back at the bottom of the deck. There we go. And that was 2 actions. So now we go to Cortozaar, turn number 3. What are we going to do here? I already forgot. Oh, we grabbed one of those. So we should probably do one of those, huh? Yeah, that would probably make sense. Oh, you know what? No, we're going to play politics for Cortozaar. So we're going to start with the top action, spend 1 science. We go from 2 down to 1, advance the statecraft track, gain a tech. We do have 1 unlocked improved tech, so it's looking very similar to what we just did over here a minute ago. But for funsies, let's get aggressive here. Let's take improved dreadnoughts. We'll improve ships again. So we get 6 influence for that, go from 65 to 71. And we can activate a fleet power now. Got a lot of active fleet power. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And we can deploy a dreadnought, which still costs 1 material, but we're no longer limited to 1 fleet power per token. We can have 3. So let's deploy one of these for 1 material. And we can send that anywhere. I'm out of materials now, though, but we'll send it here. So that's helpful because now I don't have to reduce down my number of fleet tokens in that sector. Okay, so we've done that. And now we're going to do this. We're going to spend, do I have the, yeah, I do. Okay, we're going to spend 1, 2, 3 credits to invade. and improve a glory token. Let's turn this 3 into a 4. We'll do that first, and we're going to invade this sector here in the middle. And to do that, I'm going to send 1 dreadnought and 1 corvette, like so. Okay, so those come in. Let's see what happens. On the approach step, there is a sector defense, but also my attacking dreadnought has an absorb. So those things are going to cancel out. Now we're going to check initiative. 2 for the Voidborn. I have 1, 2, plus 1 for the dreadnought, so I have 3 initiative. I fire first, and I have torpedoes, so I fire twice. So that takes out both of the Voidborn fleet power, and I win the combat. So first the installations go away. Then we gain our glory token. We got 8, 9, 10, 11 glory for that. So that brings us from 71 to 82. They're both tied now on glory. And we've got 2 reclaim tokens there. So let's get a couple of those. So this could be really critical for Cortozaar. We'll see what we get. An Engineers Guild. I don't think that's super helpful. And a Miners Guild. Or we could take 1 resource of any type in place of either of those guilds. Cortozaar could certainly use the resources, but I think we'll still take the guilds. I think we can make something work out of that. So this goes away. These we put here. Sector is corrupted, though. We'd like to purify it. And yeah, that was 2 actions, 1, 2. So that was Cortozaar's turn. Back to Belitan. We've got 2 more turns left in this cycle. I feel like I kind of had a plan, but I don't remember. Let's just take what's off the top here. Let's play production, and I'll take the free actions. I'll take the top 2. So I'll advance my society track and increase a pure population. And let's make it this one since we're about to produce. So that goes up to 4. So my level here goes up by 1, level here goes up by 1, and then we'll take this middle action, produce these 3 resources. This one's already maxed, so that overproduces immediately and gets us 3 influence. We're up to 85. And we get 3 more energy and 3 materials. Okay, cool. And then we gain 1 influence for each of those types that are pure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets up to 90. That was 2 actions for Belitan. Now we go to Cortozaar. And what are we going to do for Cortozaar here? I think we're going to have to play Prosperity. And we're going to take the top 2 actions. Let's start with the top. Spend 1 material. So we'll spend 1 credit because we don't have any materials. Advance the econ track. That gets us a trade token. And we will take as a trade bonus this 2 credits. We would like 2 credits, please. So we're up to 4 now. And now the middle action, we can gain 2 resources and produce 1 resource type. And we're going to produce food. We have 6, we produce 5, so that gets us to 11. And then I think for our 2 resources that we take, we're going to take 1 more food, and we will take 1 credit. That gets us up to 5. Okay, now we slot this trade token that we gained. Back to Belitan for their last turn of the game. We've got an agenda here. Let's play it with reinforcement. And we're just going to take 2 actions. That's fine. We'll start with the middle action. So spend 2 materials. We have 3, go down to 1, and we can deploy a fleet power to each shipyard that we have. Let's put 1 here, and we'll put another 1 here. And we can make that a sentry, I suppose. No reason we can't. Let's just go ahead and do that. All right, now we'll take the bottom action, spend 1 energy. We have 6, we go down to 5, and we can regroup, and we can build a sector defense. So first I'm going to regroup. I'm going to take this sentry and regroup it to here. I'm not going to move anything else around. And then the sector defense I will put right here. Now, because of improved sentries, if I had active fleet power, I could also deploy a sentry there, but I'm out of active fleet power. So that was those 2. Oh, wait a minute. But before I do that action, let me back up a little. Let me take the agenda action. That's why I did that. Activate a fleet power. We'll continue to go in order. That's fine. And then I can build another installation. So, okay, that all worked out fine. We're going to build a shipyard here and with sentries, deploy a sentry to that same sector. Great. All right. Now, are we keeping this? I think we are keeping it. I think we're replacing this one. Trade token does not go away. That's totally fine. This goes back to the deck. That was it for Belitan. So now to Cortozaar for their last turn of the game. Better make it a good one. And I think it's going to be development with this agenda card and this trade token. So we're going to take all 3 actions. So we'll start with the top action, spend 1 material. I don't have any, so I spend a credit, go down to 4 to build a guild or an installation, but I would like a guild. So I'm going to build a banker's guild up here. So the level goes up by 2. So it's at level 12 now. Is that what I want to do? That's fine. That's fine. We'll leave it how it is. And then I will take this middle action. I need to recall a fleet power. I'm going to take this Corvette, fleet power back, and I can build a guild and an installation in that same sector. I'm going to put a shipyard and another banker's guild. So that level goes up by 4. So that is maxed out. That is as high as it can go. And finally, I will spend 1 science, go from 1 to 0, and I can increase a pure population or remove a corruption. I'm going to remove the corruption from this sector. So that is pure. And now I will take my agenda action, and I can build any guild. I'm going to do another banker's guild. Let's put that here. The level would go up by 2, but it's already maxed. And then produce that resource type. So before I produce credits, I gain 2 credits. I go from 4 to 6. And now I produce 8 credits, which is going to get me to 14. Man, what a kick in the head that is. Okay. And now this trade token goes back to the galactic board. This agenda, I am not going to replace the wealth agenda I have. So it just goes back to the bottom of the deck. And now we go to the evaluation phase. So before we do anything else, Belitan gets to remove 1 corruption from the decontamination chambers. So let's take care of that. And now we do the skirmish. So Belitan has 0 corruption on their house mat. And then we add +1 because it's cycle 3. So they will be skirmished at 3 fleet power. At 1 fleet power. So 1 Voidborn fleet power coming in here is lost at the sector defense. The home can't be attacked. Sector defense is here. This sector's pocketed. That's it. They defend against the skirmish. Let's check for Cortozaar now. They've got also 0 corruption on their house mat, so skirmish at 1. If 1 Voidborn fleet power... can't come here because it's not adjacent to any Voidborn sectors. So really, this is the only valid target, and there is a sector defense. So they both easily defended against the skirmish. That's great. Let me just say here that that whole thing kind of goes very differently and is a greater threat and happens throughout the cycle on cooperative mode. So if you're wondering about the Voidborn being a little bit static, that is... there's multiple parts to that answer, but definitely it's a whole different thing in co-op mode. So I just want to say that. Let's do upkeep now. Belitan is first. They have 4 here from the agendas. Their 2 trade tokens here are saving them some upkeep. So 4 plus, let's see, 5, 6, 7 upkeep. That shouldn't be a problem because they have 15 food. So that goes down to 8, and their upkeep is paid. Let's see how Cortozaar did. Hopefully better than last time. They've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh man, I didn't math that right. So I've only got 12 food. So down to 0, and then we can't pay the rest because they have also no energy and no materials. So they lose 3 influence for the last one. Hard day for Cortozaar. 79. I really put them in a corner. It's not their fault. Okay, that was upkeep. Now we evaluate the galactic event. We'll start with Belitan. Do they have 8 or more pure guilds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? No. Do they have any civilization tracks at tier 2 or higher? No, they do not. So bummer for Belitan, they don't get anything. Let's check with Cortozaar. Do they have any civ tracks at tier 2 that are pure? No, they don't. They could have gotten this one, but I didn't go that route. Let's count how many pure guilds, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. More than enough. So they gain 15 influence for that. So it's 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 94. Okay, not bad. Surprisingly close right now, 90 to 94. So now we just score our pure agendas. We'll start with Belitan. So from left to right, how many pure sectors? 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 influence each. That's 12 influence. So that's going to get them up to 102. Next, how many pure sectors with sector defenses? 1, 2, 3. So that's 1 influence each. Gets them up to 105. 2 influence each for each sector with a pure shipyard. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 8 influence up to 113. Next, 3 or more pure farmers guilds. 1, 2, 3. Yep, got that. That's 7 influence. That gets them to 120. That is the target for the tutorials. This is considered a win for Belitan. We'll keep going. Pure sectors with a scientist guild. They've got just 1 multiplier, 4 influence for each of those. 124. Any pure civ tracks at tier 3 or higher? Nope. But each pure sector with 3 population or more is worth 3 influence. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. That's 12 influence at 136. Next, if you've got 3 or more pure shipyards, and we sure do, that's 6 influence. So 142. And finally, 7 influence for each pure sector with 3 or more fleet power. We've got 1, 2, 3 of those sectors. That's 21 influence. That's great. So we go from 142 to 143, 53, 63. 163 for Belitan. Good for you. All right, now let's see how Cortozaar did. So we start with this agenda. All their agendas are pure, so they all score as well. Don't forget, if one of these is corrupted, you get nothing for it. But each pure sector is worth 3. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 12 influence. Where was I? Wait a minute. I was at 93, 94, 95, 105. I think. Okay, we'll say I'm at 105. We'll keep going. Sector defenses. Pure sectors with a sector defense. 1, 2. That's 2 influence. 107. Pure sectors with a shipyard worth 2 each. So that's 1, 2, 3. So 6 influence. That's going to be 113. Then if I have 3 or more pure sector defense, 1, 2, I've got 3 in just that one sector. So that's 5 influence. 118. Each pure fleet power on the map is worth 2. I really wish I could have deployed all this active fleet power. That would have been worth a lot. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yikes. So only 8 influence for that. 126. Still a win, though. Let's keep going. 1 or more corrupted agenda slots. I don't have that anymore. But each pure sector with 3 or more guilds is worth 4. And I've got 1, 2, 3 of those. So that's 12 influence. 138. And if I have 3 or more glory tokens, which I do, that's 4 influence. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 142. And finally, every 3 credits in my stockpile is worth 4 influence. And I am at 14, just shy of 15, man. So I've only got 12. So I've got 4 sets of 3. 4 times 4 is 16. 148, 158. So pretty close. 163 to 158. So in this case, if it was a competitive game, Belitan wins. If you're considering it co-op, hey, you both won. Like, great. When you can get 120 on this, you're ready to move on to something else. If you're not hitting 120, maybe play the tutorial again. There's probably some things that you learned along the way that you should probably experiment with just to make sure you're getting to the right spot. But as I said at the beginning, this is not a strategy video. This is just like checking your comprehension for, do you understand what the rules mean and what you're supposed to be doing? And hopefully this helps you understand better the tutorial. If you're playing multiplayer co-op, this is how it works. We just kind of agreed that we're not going to invade each other, even though we have this shared border. If you want to play competitive, then it would have been just like this, but you could have used one of those invade actions to invade an opponent instead of a Voidborn sector. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I would be happy to help you out. And as I said, I've got a whole Voidfall playlist. There's like more than 30 videos on it. So I've got a playthrough of every level of the compendium on both medium and hard mode. I have a couple other tutorial videos, a bunch of rules videos, different unboxing videos to show you the retail version, the galactic version, comparing the 2 versions. Whatever you're looking for, I've probably got it. And I've got a lot more Voidfall content coming. So if you like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. And if you already love playing Voidfall solo or 2-player co-op, then head over to Kickstarter and get the last Novark expansion that, again, I was the writer on and like a primary designer. So I'd be super excited for you to get that into your hands. So that's what I've got this time on Table for One. I hope you found this useful. I'm happy to answer questions below if you've got any. Don't forget, if you're on Board Game Geek, go grab that Table for One micro badge. It's now available. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching.